The US, of course, is facing persistent inflation, which is not coming down as fast as the Fed or the Biden administration would like it to come down. And China is certainly going to help on that front if the dollar remains strong. If China tries to push out a lot of exports, that could mean cheaper imports for the US, which will certainly help in holding down inflation. But on the other hand, election season is drawing near. And Biden certainly doesn't want to let the China narrative be seized by Trump. So sounding tough on China and acting tough on China is certainly something that we're going to see a lot more of from the Biden administration. And I think of this as the opening shot. Now, of course, what is happening in China has not gone unnoticed here in Washington. The Chinese economy, based on the first quarter data, does seem to be doing quite well. But it is really a production-led recovery with consumption demand in China still remaining quite weak. So I think the omens are all there for Washington to see that China is producing a lot, not consuming as much. It needs to find external markets, and Washington is really on guard at the moment.
So, Eswar, without trying to come across as too jaded, I mean, other than potentially winning more votes, what does this actually do in reality to the U.S.-China relationship, especially the trade deficit? Because I took a look at some statistics, and imported steel and aluminum from China is only worth about 2% of the total that's brought into the United States. Or, and here's the or, does an increasing amount of steel that originates in China still end up in the U.S. via third countries?
There is the phenomenon of a lot of trade from China now being diverted through other countries such as Mexico and Vietnam, which still have significant and easy access to U.S. markets, and that too has not gone unnoticed by Washington. That's not so much an issue for steel as it is for some other consumer products and also for certain products like automobiles. Now, the balance that the Biden administration is trying to strike again is the fact that if they raise tariffs, that could actually increase prices on certain imported products, and that is not going to help in terms of the inflation battle. But by picking steel, which certainly is an issue that resonates very well in the hinterland in the U.S., I think the administration is trying to have it both ways. Again, sounding and acting tough on China without too many major consequences. But the reality is that the Biden administration has continued many of the trade restrictions against China, including the tariffs that the Trump administration has put in place. It has put in place, that is, the Biden administration has put in place even more restrictions. So I think the baseline here is that things are not going to get any better between the U.S. and China in the next few months, or perhaps even in the next administration. The question is simply, are they going to get much worse in the short run? And all indications are they're going to get at least somewhat worse.